This Sunday we celebrate the 30th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Jesus is with his disciples, and they are traveling, and they come upon a blind man. Our gospel passage comes from Mark's account, chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. Let's take a listen. As Jesus was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a sizable crowd, Bartimaeus, a blind man, the son of Timaeus, sat by the roadside begging. On hearing that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me." And many rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he kept calling out all the more, "Son of David, have pity on me." Jesus stopped and said, "Call him." So they called the blind man, saying to him, "Take courage, get up, Jesus is calling you." He threw aside his cloak, sprang up, and came to Jesus. Jesus said to him in reply, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man replied to him, "Master, I want to see." Jesus told him, "Go your way. Your faith has saved you." Immediately he received his sight and followed him on the way. We are told that Jesus is with his disciples and a sizable crowd. Place yourself into that crowd. Imagine you are traveling with Jesus when a blind beggar cries out. Many in the crowd tried to silence him. Why was that? Did they think that he would bother Jesus? Rather than being bothered by him, Jesus calls him forward. If you were in the place of Bartimaeus, how would you feel when Jesus called you forward? Would you be excited? Nervous? Bartimaeus throws his cloak aside, and for that man, the cloak would have been his most valued possession. It was like a coat, it was like a sleeping bag, it was protection from the elements. He is putting aside his security and trusting that Jesus can in fact do what he asks. Jesus treats him with great respect, to the point where he asks the man what he wants him to do for him. If you were in the crowd, you might be thinking to yourself, "Isn't it obvious? He can't see. He wants his sight restored." Jesus has great compassion on this man and tells him that his faith has saved him and his sight is restored. What can we do when we notice some blindness in our lives? It may not be physical blindness, rather it can be a kind of spiritual blindness. We all have those blind spots. It may not be our sight, but we might lack something, be deficient in something, need more of something. Jesus always has what we need. The blind man shows us that we need to trust him, make ourselves known to him, tell him what we want. What do you think life was like for this blind man who has now had his sight restored? What do you think was the reaction of the crowd? What was the reaction of those who tried to prevent him from approaching Jesus? What can this blind man, Bartimaeus, teach us about blindness and trust and prayer? Let the gospel fill your week. See you in church.